Victor, you're back.
We're back, Ed.
We are back together. We kicked you to the curb last month to bring in Tim Tarantello.
For Timmy Tarantello.
He's on the broadcast.
Tiny Tim Tarantello.
Speaking of Christmas movies, Tiny Tim.
I wrote that in
what
there.
Was that?
Like
that was in Scrooge, right? Tiny Tim was in Scrooge.
Scrooge, yes.
Yeah.
Ebenezer Scrooge.
Tiny Tim, what did he say? Can I have it? What's his little line? He wants a little more
No, I don't
porridge.
remember.
Is that the movie?
No, it's not porridge. That's a bear. All right, what is some favorite Christmas movies?
What do we see out there? Miracle on 34th Street. There you go. There's some good ones.
Mike McKenzie says anything from Hallmark, they are the best. I don't know who Mike McKenzie is.
Mike McKenzie's the DSM on the West Coast.
Is he?
Yeah.
Anything from Hallmark? Really, man? Really?
That's
Do you like scented candles and long walks on the beach as well?
Those are those shows. My wife's addicted to them, and it's all the same actors. They just put them in different cities.
I actually like Hallmark.
What else you see out
like
there?
Hallmark,
I see Sam Boo's with me. Sam Boo's with me with White Christmas. Love
Peter Barrera says
Fred Claus.
I like that. Sam Boo.
There's that Die Hard. Who put Braveheart in there?
Elf. By the way, Elf is such a good movie. I don't know why. I like Elf. Braveheart.
Marlon. Good thing he sells a lot because he don't know how to pick Christmas movies.
Get HR on that one.
There's your Christmas. Old school Rudolph and Frosty. We were talking about Burl Ives the other day, right?
I love Burl Ives.
That voice, because he was Frosty, right?
Yeah, he was Frosty the Snowman. Burl Ives.
Way back.
I'm just
Nick
a Burl Ives
Kuykend's
fan.
doing Elf. There's another Elf.
The Lemon Drop Kid.
I don't even know what that is. What is that?
I think that's a Gene Wilder movie. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay.
I think it's a Gene Wilder movie, man.
You guys know I don't see a lot of TV.
Bad Santa, Ryan Fassbinder. By the way, is it Fassbinder or Fassbinder?
I don't know.
That's a cool name. Hi, I'm Ryan
Cliff
Fassbinder.
Brown's all over that Die Hard too.
Is he?
8 Crazy Nights.
Yeah.
I don't know that one either.
Oh, I love Sean. Sean said these cats. By the way, when you start using words like these cats, you know he's old school, right? These cats should do a monthly live broadcast for branch meetings. Yeah.
I didn't see that.
That's Sean Brummels.
These cats.
ROL says the Players Club. You sick person. That doesn't make any sense. Bob Hope. Robert Wood just says Bob Hope. Like, remember, didn't he always do those like Christmas specials to the troops?
And he went over to the troops.
Yep. I remember that. Yeah.
That's crazy. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Ryan says it's like binder, so it's Fassbinder. That's
there
cool.
you go.
Ryan Fassbinder.
Like a binder
It's
of
a cool
paper.
name, man. I got to give it to you. That's a cool name.
Jingle All the Way in Arnold's voice.
Arnold's voice. I love it, man. Let me see who we got out there.
Crazy. Yeah, who we got? Who you see out there?
Andrew Litton is trying to multitask here with 2 things going on.
Sam Boo got it. Sam Boo got his neck gaiter on like he's going to rob a bank or something. Look at Sam Boo there. He's up there in Chicago freezing his butt off.
Who's this guy? It says ROL iPad. You got the
know.
dark hat. You got the scarf. You're all bundled up,
He must be in Chicago too.
You got the upshot. I don't know what that is. And then we got
Robert Wood looking sharp. Got it all together.
A stash. By the way, is there really a guy by the name of Zerby? Is that really real, man?
There's Mackenzie. There's Mackenzie. I see him.
Okay.
Out there from the West Coast.
So we got a couple of people out there.
Nicholas Ford looking sharp. Who else you see out there? A lot of camera shy folks. Yeah. There's Ben Dietz. They got them. All them cats from Chicago got their beanie hats on today.
They got the beanie hat.
They're keeping their head warm.
Chloe Bliss is looking blissful.
There's Cliff Brown.
It's the best I got, It's the best I got.
Philip Hughes. Philip Hughes looked like he's in a blizzard too.
Is that Shaka Strong? No. Did you make?
There's another. That must be standard issue up there.
Shaka Strong.
Oh, there's B. Worth. Remember him? You did that.
B. Worth. I like B. Worth.
Amen. There he's saluting us.
Good guy.
Outstanding.
Let me see. Steven Cerfella. Did I get it right, Steven? Am I close?
I think he's on that list.
He just screwed that up, Victor.
No, he just shook you off.
Dude, it's like the tiles are this small, I can barely see the lettering, man. And you got Mark Chavez is back. I think Mark Chavez was with us yesterday, man. He's got the cool side cut with the bun. I love it, man.
David Terry got his tie on. He's getting like, will you guys get on with this stuff?
All right, let's get
I got
going.
work to do. I got business to sell. So, Victor.
Ciratella. Ciratella.
There you go.
Another from Illinois. And Chaka Strong. Chaka Strong. Yeah.
I love that song.
Yeah.
I love that
song.
Yeah. What I'm gonna come clean with my folks.
Yeah.
I've for many years kind of been a Scrooge about Christmas. You know,
you're a Scrooge. You're a Scrooge? No. Shocking.
I never got excited about it because my wife just absolutely wears herself out. Just overdoes it.
Did you have a poor childhood?
Your kids? We got like seriously, we got jeans, and we talked about this
Yeah,
earlier.
yeah.
I got them soft packages. As
We
you
hate soft
said.
packages.
You don't want a soft package for Christmas.
Never want a soft
'Cause
package
what was
for
in
Christmas.
it?
Socks, underwear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
T-shirts. Yeah.
By the way, if you were scarred as a child with soft packages, let me know. Yeah, because I was.
Never stop.
As soon as I did this, I'm like, oh, there is no Santa Claus. There is no Santa Claus in the hood.
Yeah. So it wasn't always good.
Okay.
And I don't want to give the impression that we were wanting for things.
Yeah.
But there was no big celebration. My folks were pretty frugal, right?
Right.
So now I marry into this family that my mother-in-law goes, she spent like every dime she had.
Okay.
You know, she's one of the people that put God rest her soul. She put the charges on the credit card and made
just let it run.
made sure everybody had a big Christmas.
Yeah.
And I would just cringe, and I would, oh my God, where's all the money coming from?
Right.
As we're raising these poor kids. But I have a new outlook on Christmas. And it's all the result of these 4 grandkids.
Okay. It's like an Ebenezer Scrooge moment, right? You had
Oh, yeah.
You had the 3 ghosts visit
Yeah,
you.
I think
type
they
of thing?
visited
Yeah, in
me.
this case, 4 kids.
You
Okay.
know what did it? It really had cooked in this year. The 2 in Pittsburgh, there's one that's 7, these girls, the granddaughters, one's 7 and one's 4.
Are they all girls?
All the grandkids are girls.
Wow.
But so we got 2 4-year-olds and we got a 7-year-old. So man, that's like opportune, perfect time for this time. But my son-in-law does this thing. You ever hear that Chippy, the elf on the shelf?
No. I know what an elf on the shelf is.
So they hide the elf every night. He hides the elf. And the amazement that these kids, first thing they wake up, they wake up like at 6 o'clock and run out of their beds and they go looking for Chippy. And he puts in all these crazy ass.
So when does that start? When does that start? Do they do it every night or till like 12 days?
December 1st is when I think he starts it. But I mean, so a lot of times I'll ask them when we FaceTime at night, where was Chippy? And they just run with the phone to show me where he was. Daddy, look, Papa, look at this. You know,
so they don't touch Chippy. They live.
Oh
Chippy
no, you don't touch Chippy. You leave him there.
Oh, okay.
Because I guess the story is. Let me know if you're doing the Chippy thing or the elf on the shelf.
Yeah. Let Ed know he's not alone.
Yeah. He watches over him all day.
Okay.
And then he flies to the North Pole, and then he comes back and he lands in a different place. But
I love it.
It is just reinvigorated.
Oh.
Because of the amazement that the kids have.
Okay.
He said.
So you got excited because of Chippy.
Yeah. Even talking to my son-in-law last night, I said, "Where was Chippy today?" Because it's like a topic of conversation. He said when the girls got up, they just laughed. He said they belly laughed because of where he put them. I can't tell you where he put them, but
that's
they,
cute.
they just thought it
By
was
the way,
funny, so.
Jeffrey Steele says you're not alone. It's all fun until you forgot to move it.
I imagine you get in big trouble for that.
Yep.
So no, I changed my outlook on the holiday season.
Just because of Chippy.
No, it's just 4 girls.
Okay, the 4 girls. Okay. That's cool.
I had 4 kids, and
that's
I
sweet,
got a little
though.
excited, but that was my money.
Who picks the gifts? You pick the gifts, or does your wife pick out the
This
gifts?
is embarrassing.
Yeah.
0. I do nothing.
Yeah.
And that's not even fair. I mean, I should be taken out and lashed at the pool because. But she likes doing it.
Yeah. No.
So I let her do it.
Yeah. Our kids used to always say, thanks for getting me this gift. I said, what did your mother get you? Guy was like, that was it. So yeah,
my kids will open up their stuff and, Dad, what did I get?
Yeah, what did I get?
Same story, right? So, no, the Amazon man stops at my house like every day, 3 times.
Yeah.
So it snowed up there, and we're at the house in Ohio, and there's this path pouring out from the middle of the street, right through the front yard where the snow was.
Right.
I mean, like a worn down path. It's the Amazon guy going to the front porch
Just
because
back
he
and
won't
forth.
go up the driveway and up the walkway. Yeah, I'm going broke very, very quickly with
He's
Amazon.
not going broke. I've seen the numbers. You're not going broke.
Phil Hughes, most dads are surprised at what they got their kids. I love that. Yeah, so
Hey,
just
what'd you get your wife this year?
I can't tell you.
Oh.
Because I didn't do it yet.
All right, cool. I hear you. Let me see.
I'm that terrible bad guy, but I will get after that this week.
Do it.
I'm shutting down next Wednesday for the rest of the year.
Yeah,
so
this is my last day of work today.
Oh, awesome.
With you.
Awesome.
This is it.
What should we get into some content?
I think we should get into content before they all leave us.
So let's real quick. We're going to go through some numbers in November, which were spectacular. I'll tell a little bit of story about that in a minute. But November residential pest control sales. Jeff Steele and his team that are on the books there. What's happened with residential PC sales? As you know, 70% of that stuff is sold by the call center. And what has happened? We kind of started out slow. We didn't have very many leads. We had really poor demand. In fact, lead decreases for probably the first 6-7 months of the year. So that their sales are predicated a lot, not entirely, on inbound calls, but a lot of that. So we had a really tough first 6-7 months in residential pest control sales, but man, has that changed. Victor, October, November, and 10 days, 12 days into December, they're smoking it. They're smoking it. I mean, like crazy increases. In November, the residential pest control sales increased 16% year over year, which is monstrous. I mean, just crazy. This month so far, they are running a 22% sales increase over last year. So the demand's picked up, the leads have picked up, they're closing the daylights out of the leads that are coming in. So hats off to them, because if you remember from last month's broadcast, we had Tim coming in and talk about the importance of what they do there and how our field folks work with them. All those are new places to go that we didn't have last year, and giving us all these opportunities to sell all these ancillary services. So, you talk about the pest control sales. Again, the call center was 70% of them, up 16%. We have climbed all the way back up to company-wide with the field res PC and the OC3. We are 1% off our sales plan for the year. And like 6 months ago, I didn't think we had that proverbial snowball's chance.
You were up what percentage over last year?
Right now we're up 7. We're up 7.5 right now company-wide.
From last year?
Yeah, from last year. But that's really coming off the last 3 months of just stellar growth. So we got a lot more pest control customers out there to get after. So that's that unending supply of prospects that we had Tim in for last week. Focusing on the termite side of things, what these folks spend most of their time doing, just the beat goes on. The beat goes on. We had a little slip in traditional sales over last year. Only 3% increase in the old drill it and fill it. But again, it's an increase. And Victor and I talk about all the time what's going on here at Orkin. What y'all are doing is just spectacular, because he's dealing with companies that are trying to get an increase, and we're running 3% there. Our bait sales, thank you for this. Those are rebounded, almost kind of tied into what's going on at the call center. We've got a 13% increase in bait sales year over year in November, and we've climbed that all the way back up to where we were in a deficit. The only column that we were dragging down in, we are up almost 3.5% right now in bait sales for the year. They're starting off good in December as well, so great job there. Where you guys and gals are really clocking it is in the ancillary segment. Get a load of this, Victor. Again, this is 4 years of really building on some great growth. November, our ancillary sales are up 39% company-wide. I mean, just bonkers. For the year, they're up 29%. So at the end of the day, we're shaking out at a 16% termite sales increase year over year, which will be the 6th consecutive year of a double-digit termite sales increase for this company.
Hot dog.
Just crazy, crazy.
Amazing numbers.
Big numbers. I mean, to share it with you, the residential PC sales, $308 million in residential PC sales through November. On the termite side of the house, $366 million in sales. And think about that when you start calculating 14% commissions. Just outstanding. Bonkers. Can't thank you enough. I had the opportunity last week to be here in Atlanta and talk to all the big shots. We had a plan presentation where we kind of share our forecasts of how 2024 is going to end, and then kind of explain how we're going to get to the numbers. The goal, what our plans were to get to the targets they've burdened us with, I would say.
Was management nice enough to lower the goal?
No, they did not lower the goal. Just to give you an idea, the goal for 2025 as Orkin is $1 billion in sales. I mean, just bonkers. But we sold $958 million this year.
Wow.
The one thing that kind of jumped off the page, and so I get a chance to tell the story for the company, right, in sales. And I get 10 minutes of fame, or 10 minutes, my 10 minutes of fame. I get up there and I go through some of the slides, and it's a very formal presentation with all the big shots in the back of the room. And they have these giant binders that they flip through all the slides. Every division presents, every one of our brands presents, and it's like a 6-hour time frame, right? And I had 10 minutes to talk about you folks, and what was cool about it, in these binders, the big shots sit in the back of the room and they highlight the binders and they find out where they can ask questions. They see, explain this or explain that. Well, when I got done, there were no questions. No questions.
Those are always the best.
Yeah, just perfect. And then
By the way, that could go either way, right?
Yeah, exactly. Then when I walked back to my seat, John Wilson, our chairman of the board, he had ripped the page out of his binder and wrote me just a note, just a note of thanks, saying, I've never seen a year like that ever at Orkin, and I would tell these folks that. I get the credit for it, but man, thank you for what you do. I get the privilege to share the results of what you bring to the dance, and it's an honor to represent you in that room. And
those are amazing numbers if you think about them.
Just pretty crazy.
Well, you must have seen, like, over the last, I'll say 15, 20 years.
Yeah.
I mean, if you could go back 20 years, what do you think you were selling 15, 20 years ago?
Oh, God, I mean, a tenth of that. Right. I mean, when I first came down here 12 years ago, our budgeted increase, what they tasked us with, was like 3-5% increases every year. And that was pretty standard for the first
Right.
4 or 5 years till these folks caught hold of what they're doing and started slaying it. Now the budgeted increase in termite sales for next year, what we're saddled with, what we got to go get, which I'm confident you will, is almost an 18% increase in termite sales across the country.
So where do you see the increase? Like, what do you think's happening in the field? Besides that, they're good, obviously, but I mean, what's happening?
A lot of it is the increase in ancillary and kind of how that's spreading across the country.
Okay.
You know, we had pockets of it. You know, we had some regions slaying it and some not, some getting after it. Same with rack. We had regions really focused on rack. Now that seems to be, I guess that's kind of germinating across the whole enterprise.
Okay.
And just giving us that lift. The other thing that's happened too is, for the first time since I've been in this job, we finished the year on our staff to plan. We put a staffing target in place. You know, we laid out some staffing numbers, budgeted numbers that the expectations we will hit them in 2025. In 2024, we ended all of our field sales budget headcounts were on plan. We have over 1,000 HSIs. We have over 500 account managers. The cool thing about focusing with the HSIs, we have 139 more folks doing what these folks do than we did last year.
Wow.
So that certainly represents some growth, right?
Because that was a big challenge for last year, right? I remember that was one of the big goals.
It's always been a challenge. You know, it's always been a disappointment. You know, we try to get to that staff number, and you know, but we got there. We arrived there, and look at the results.
So 139 plus above last year.
Over and above what we had last year.
Okay.
And the cool thing about that is these folks were all hired last year, right? So 139 folks were brought on board sometime during the year. We're locked and loaded. We're not staffing up in January. These are folks coming out of the gates with some battle scars, with some understanding, with some learnings, and some wins behind them. Full confidence you're going to deliver another 20%.
That's
so
cool.
just outstanding. The other thing is, I was going through the notes, kind of getting my mind around. I sent out the overall HSI sales reports 2 nights ago, and I looked at the numbers, Victor, and kind of measuring up. That's the report they pulled President's Club off of, and I just said, I wonder how many $1 million paid on HSIs we're going to end up with this year. Folks that got paid on over $1 million in 2023 amounted to 17 of our HSIs did that, got paid on $1 million. This year, we have it locked and loaded. There's a potential to get more, but I know that we will end the year with 40 of our HSIs getting paid on over $1 million. I mean, that was rare air. I mean, that was like that was like Brian Wurst and Hassan's and guys like that made that number.
Yeah.
We're gonna have 40 folks do that this year. 40.
Wow. So would you attribute the same thing again? Just
a little bit of
more
that.
Consistent.
A little bit of
what
that.
What else would you add to that? What are you saying?
The adoption of rack.
Okay.
And these folks just getting in and getting after it and understanding the whole concept of the bundle.
Gotcha.
You know, bundling conditions, not stacking services. It's just a testament to what they've done. The cool thing about it too, Victor, is 5 of those folks that are going to get paid on $1 million this year. If any of you guys are one of those 139 new ones, 5 of those folks had 0 sales last year. 5 of those folks are rookies.
So 0 to 1.
0 to $1 million.
Right.
In 1 year.
Wow.
In 1 year. In 1 year. Just outstanding. So if you're sitting there wondering, can I make a go of this? You can make a whole bunch of money. I share this story all the time, man. This is a place to make a whole bunch of money, and nobody gets it. You know, I tell people I work for Orkin. You know, sometimes they look down and you're an Orkin, you're a bug guy?
Yeah.
If you only knew the money that our people make, you wouldn't just call me the bug guy. You know, that kind of thing. But
I hear you.
But pretty cool. I don't know if there's anything else. Cool story here. We're gonna move, in addition to all of the phenomenal team performance. Let's go to 34 of our folks last month in November.
Emphasis November.
November got paid on $100,000. Stormy, let's go to the tape.
Nice.
Lynsey Delaune, $248,000 out of New Orleans.
She killed it.
I'm gonna save her for last.
Okay.
Because she's gonna kind of tee up our whole content. But what else you see out there?
You know what I noticed here is that you got Indiana, Ohio, Illinois, and Michigan. Heck, we even got a racing Wisconsin in there. These are cold places.
Yeah.
And they're still selling. They're killing it.
One of the things that I try to tell people all the time is when I was selling this business for a living, there was some seasonality in the Midwest.
Right.
That's gone. That ship is done sailed, man. These folks are.
I wouldn't have expected that.
Well, it's all the ancillary stuff that they're doing, getting out and getting busy. Just crazy.
Wow.
Nate Mayberry is one I want to point out. He came in. The dude sells $206,000.
Yeah.
And he ends up second. He's out of Indiana. So I was talking to Brian Menke the other day, and
he's a Hoosier.
He's a Hoosier, but the Hoosiers are going down because Notre Dame is going to beat them next couple Fridays from now.
Are we getting into sports again?
I know you don't follow sports, but I am going to Notre Dame game, so that'll be fun. But Nate's been here less than a year. Nate's been here less than a year. Yep, less than a year. Throwing up that kind of.
Nice.
There's our buddy Hassan. Hassan has probably locked up. Well, he has locked up, unless somebody sells it like a $500,000 sale.
Yep.
Hassan's locked up the top spot for this year.
By the
He
way,
will be our chairman of the Chairman's Club.
A lot of Californians here.
Amen.
Especially the Worth brothers are back.
Yeah, the Worth brothers are back and strong, and they're always there. Both of those guys have punched their ticket to President's Club for the
And
most
there's
part.
the guy whose name I messed up, Stephen Saratella.
Yeah, he's one.
Saratella.
He's one of them
I'm
Illinois
working,
guys.
Steven. I'm working here, man. I'm working.
There you go.
Trying to get this thing right.
And there's your two podcasters, right? You got B. Worth on there, and then Celeste down there.
Yep. I love Celeste. Did I tell you that?
Everybody loves Celeste.
I love Celeste. By the way, if you've now watched the interview, the podcast I did with her, you're going to love her after that. I mean, that's one of the best interviews because she is so raw.
Yeah.
By the way, and she will make you laugh too.
I'm going to post those again. You
got to watch her.
I know they're 45 minutes long, and you might say they're a little bit too long, but let me tell you this. You got to invest the time. So we're coming up to the holidays. So I'm going to post both of those videos, both Brian and Celeste.
And we have the audios also.
And we have the audio.
In case you're in the car.
We're going to post those up when we record this broadcast, and we'll send it out probably tonight or tomorrow night when I send the gift cards. But
I love it.
I'm going to link those podcasts.
I just want to add that the reason I love her, and I mentioned this to you, but I just want one more time, is the fact that her adversity.
Yeah.
As a mom and what she's been through and other things, you just got to watch the podcast. It's just amazing, and then she still kills it.
Absolutely.
So CC in the house.
Anybody else? I mean, 4 from Ohio, 3 from Indiana. You mentioned that already.
Roy Elegado.
Roy's there.
What's happening?
I didn't see
Roy,
Roy
I don't like you near the bottom. That's the only problem I have with that.
Roy's on his way to President's Club again, Victor. Will you stop? I saw Nick Kikens on the broadcast earlier. Victor, he got so close to the camera when he was trying to adjust his volume. I could see like every nostril in his nose. So Nick, congratulations again.
By the way,
Nick's leading the way in rack sales, by the way, for this year.
Who's this Ohio character? Have I seen Brandon Pesky here
This
before?
is his second time.
Second
he was
time.
on it last month.
Okay, that's what it was.
And Brando and I sold together back in the Akron branch. We were both salesmen.
Really?
So he's been here a long time too.
Holy buckets.
But I'm
wait a minute. He's been here a
again.
long time. He's only been on this list twice?
No. He's on the list twice this year. Back to back.
Okay. I thought he was getting a little lazy. I was just wondering. Right? Make sure he's working hard.
By
the way, let's look at the call center people because Shannon Masiak.
She's just crushing it.
Yeah,
right?
Gary Frano.
I think that's 6. Jeff, put it in the chat. I think that's 5 or 6 months in a row. She's top on paid on coming out of there.
Nice. You got. Have we seen Sandra Gatliff?
I have not.
I don't recognize that name.
Jeff can maybe put some insight in.
I'm very disappointed with Teresa Mobley.
Yeah, Mobley's just coming in.
Yeah, she's fluffing.
Yeah.
I'm not working hard. Joshua Winston. Great numbers, by the way, joking aside. Fantastic numbers.
Gary Frano's an interesting case, right? So out of the call center. So Gary Frano sells for us. All these folks
Have you met him?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
They're all remote, right?
Okay.
And Vanessa Frano, his wife, works for us.
Okay.
So they work in the same house.
Okay.
I think they work different shifts, so they're not on the phone at the same time. But in addition to those two, their son works for us too in the same house. So you got 3. We got 3
What's
folks.
going on here, Ed?
We got 3 folks, and they're cranking the sales out. You can see that all the time. But it's kind of like
they got their
the
own
Corpus
division.
brothers, the Peters brothers, the Worth brothers. It's all in the family now, man.
That's
I mean,
funny.
just outstanding. Let's talk about Lynsey a little bit because there was rumor late last month that she was pushing for 300,000. So a couple of guys called me. They said, "Hey man, Don Spadali and Brian Ramey and even Leland Morris said, hey man, Lynsey's going to sell 300,000.
Lynsey's coming. Lynsey's coming.
She's coming." And I'm like, cool. So she sold the 300. She sold like 306,000. As you can see, she got paid on 248,000. So I picked up the phone and called her. because I had met her. I knew that she was familiar with me, but
Right.
I mean, she's had 4 or 5 months already this year where she's had the 100,000.
Right.
But I met her when she was coming through the leadership class to be a branch manager. So, so she went through that track to come to Orkin. Then she ran a branch for a little bit, and God love her, she came over to the good side.
Yeah.
She left all that management crap and came into sales. And so I picked up the phone and I called her on Monday, and I just listened to her story, and it was so cool. I said, well, I just, what the hell are you doing? You're selling 300 grand in November. What are you doing? And it just kind of reassured me that the messaging that we're giving all of you, that you all know, all those folks on this list know this. It's not an easy process, but you can simplify a little bit by, she said, at 60% of what I sell is coming off of re-inspections. And I'm like,
That's
really?
big. That's high.
Because I hear
That's a high percentage.
I hear salespeople whining that they're running these $39 re-eyes and they can't sell them anything because everybody's been there before me.
Right. Right.
She just doesn't even
60%.
60%. She
big
said
number.
the other 40%, the balance of it is
Right.
pest control customers.
Gotcha.
Either new starts or the PC no TC.
Right.
And I said, that's it? And she said, yeah, that's it. I said, okay, so tell me how you're doing that, right? Because we got different ways that people get scheduled for appointments. She said, and this just touched my heart, Victor.
Oh, here it
Because
comes.
it's the way this old
All
guy.
right, here
It's
it
the way
comes, here
this
it
old
comes.
guy used to do it. She said, Ed, I go into the office on Monday and I don't leave until my week's full. And I'm thinking, Lynsey, you just made me smile. That's the way I did it when I was. Not that it's about me because it's about her, but I guess it just kind of proves that if you invest the time to get full week, that you can be successful.
So she doesn't
She
leave the office.
doesn't leave till she's happy, and she's booking 8. Her goal is to get 8 appointments a day.
Okay.
The day I was talking to her on the phone, she was running 8.
So she's booking like 32 a week. That's her goal.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And
okay.
if she finishes early, she goes out on Monday. If not, she doesn't. And it falls back to the story. Jay Fusco is still here. He was my branch manager, and he used to get just mad as a hornet at me when I would sit around the office all day Monday and just grind on prospecting, find a place, calling a PC no TCs, calling the re-inspections. He would grind. In fact, typically in the Orkin operations, and a lot of these guys will attest to this, that when the brass comes, when the region comes or the division comes, the managers say, get out of here.
Everybody
get
out.
out of here. Get your truck off the parking lot.
Yeah.
Get out.
We don't want to see
Park
you.
the trucks down the street.
Go look busy.
All that stuff. But I remember one day when Jay Fusco was my manager, and he's still here, Steve Drennan, who was the VP at the time, he was coming to the office, and he came in, and Jay said, you got to get out of here. I said, Bubba, my week ain't ready. So
Right.
we sat there, and Drennan came in and started raising hell. But then I said, yeah, this is why we do it. So thank God that Lynsey said that. So it was cool that she plans her week. She's so focused on planning.
Yeah.
The other thing she does is she researches the daylights out of these appointments. So she goes in and sees what they have, how long they've been around. I mean, she's doing the deep dive.
Early
they used to
on.
call it file
That's
diving in the old
interesting.
days
Yeah.
to understand what she's walking into.
Right. Right.
And then just crazy.
By the way, it'd be interesting. I mean, how many folks out there do that? It'd be interesting to know. Do you do
Everybody's
that?
a
Do you
little bit different.
Do you stack on Monday?
Yeah, some do, some
Yeah.
don't, and there's different days.
I'd love to hear what people
But
do.
One of the things that I really took away from the conversation with her, she's a registered nurse by degree, right? And she said, I just love helping people, Ed. So she said that
Sweet.
translates to me going out and helping homeowners. But here's where she just knocked me off my socks. She said, Ed, I sold 100, and I had 2 bad months. And we had to furlough, listen to this, had to furlough a couple of termite pros in her branch.
Because they weren't bringing enough business?
Because they didn't have enough business sold. So they laid them off, essentially. Let's forget about the furlough word. That's the kind word that HR puts on. We laid these poor guys off.
Yeah.
And she was so taken aback that these guys were being sent home at the holiday season that they couldn't afford to do what they want to do to earn their living, that that was her goal. Her goal was not to sell 300. She said, yeah, I wanted to sell 300 because they made it a target. But her goal was to bring back the Orkin pros that had been laid off, and she was going to bust her tail to make sure she did that. I thought that was so much of a bigger person.
Yeah.
And salespeople all the time get accused of being selfish and not for me. I mean, think about that.
It's that nurse's background. Right?
That's what she said. She said, that's I want to nurture everybody. I want to help everybody. I'm a nurse.
So
I thought that was
by the way,
super cool.
Leadership potential right there.
Oh, no doubt.
What a mindset.
But she can't go into leadership
Well done.
until I retire because she's selling $300,000 a month. She's not allowed to leave.
You got to commend her for that. That's pretty.
No, super cool. So based on that, I thought to serve up some content to kind of make that transition. 2 things went through my mind, and literally, folks, I changed this approach. Victor and I, we did the commercial broadcast, and we talked about what we were going to do today. with the residential folks yesterday. We had it all teed up, had it all kind of, not practice, because obviously you can tell we don't practice.
I stayed up all night and practiced.
Yeah, I bet you did. But this morning at 6 o'clock, I sent him a text and I said, we got to change it. We got to do something different. And it was really based on two things. It was based on the conversation with Lynsey, and it was based on what Tim Tarantello shared with y'all last week, and just the volume of opportunities that we have to go out and prospect and pitch business. And then I heard Lynsey's story. She's going out and seeing 8 people a day. She's not selling 8 a day. She's selling a bunch, but she's not selling all of them. And I thought, we spend a lot of time in our broadcasts focusing on how to sell, how to close, how to do this. I thought it was important, and it's one of the pieces that Victor really resonated with me when I saw it maybe 10 years ago. Let's focus and let's try to understand why people don't buy. And it's the mountain nut analogy. And I'm going to turn it over to you to kind of tee this up. I'll chime in a little bit, but talk about mountain nut and trying to identify or why people don't buy. When we serve up a creative proposal, right? We walk into their attic, we come down out of there, they didn't know they had a problem, we come down, we say, hey, you got a problem, and they don't buy. Talk about mountain nut and how that all works here.
So mountain nut is an acronym I use that there's 5 reasons people don't buy. Mount nut, MT-N-U-T. So it's no money, time, need, urgency, or trust. Money, time, need, urgency, trust. Money isn't usually the issue. Time can always be flexible. So I was focused on the nut part, which is, do they have a need? Do they recognize a need? Even if they recognize a need, is there urgency? And even if you can create the urgency, do they trust you? And so when you're making somebody first aware of they need something, let's say in this case, Ed and I were talking about insulation. You may come out of the attic and say, you need insulation. In their mind, maybe, maybe not. But even if they acknowledge that they need insulation, there may not be the urgency, so how do you create that urgency? And then the third hump obviously is how do you build that trust?
Yeah, and I think sometimes we get so excited if we pop our head up into an attic and climb around up there and, oh boy, they need 8 inches, they need 10 inches. This is going to be a good one. I'm going to come down, start counting stringers and figuring out how much the price is and all that kind of fun stuff, right? But we get so excited that we identify a need, right? Yep. They need this customer needs insulation.
Oh, you need insulation,
But that doesn't mean anything to them, right? And I love and Cliff teaches this along with Gary Hubbard. They're really, this is kind of their pet peeve.
Is that the Gare Bear?
Yeah, Gare Bear and Cliff Brown, right? Okay. They teach their people, because I listened to all of Cliff Brown's rack closes, and they're all teed up and all centered on the premise of getting agreement that there's a problem. Because we may think there's a problem. We may think that they need a dry zone. We may think they need this exclusion product. But until they reach the realization that they need it, it's only our need, and it's only between our ears. We got to make sure it's between their ears before we can move forward.
Yeah, it's almost like you need them to say, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
You're right.
I didn't look at it that way.
Yeah.
And when we look at insulation, I think it's a good one because it's a good visual for me. Like, one of the strategies I would use if I was selling Orkin is if I'm going up there and I see that they need insulation and they're not thinking about insulation.
Yeah, you were there to do a whole home inspection.
Right, that's it. And so the first thing I'm going to do is I come out of the attic is say, my first question would be, well, when was the last time you went into the attic to look at your insulation? And they're going to say, probably, I don't know.
Never.
And then my second follow-up would say, can I show you something? Yeah. And then that's where I would begin my sales process. And again, I would begin, the gentle process saying, here's what you have, here's what you need. I'm being very simple about it. How would you approach it?
I think very similar, whatever you come down out and spin. But I think what we lose sight of sometimes is we hang our hat on the fact that we're going to position this sale opportunity that they're going to save money on their heat.
Right.
And you find out, well, I got a gas well in the back, I don't pay for my heat, right? So that shuts you down there. But tying in all the other things that are involved in attic insulation and the effect that Orkin Therm, the equipment, how often does your furnace kick on and off? What's the comfort level? Some rooms that are cold, those kind of things. Building those kind of questions in there will help you build. They need it, right? And I think there's so many proposals that we do that we come down and we want to throw, the stuff that's in the iPad, say, oh, the government says you need this. Right. Well, I don't care what the government says. I told the story before. I waited 7 years to buy insulation because I didn't find the urgency. Right. But building that need and having them understand that, and painting some of those pain pictures, and let's get it away from insulation a little bit. Do they understand what's going to happen if they don't take action on this dry zone? Do they understand what's going to happen? What will happen? Not what could. What will happen if they don't take advantage of this, of the Orkin shields and those kind of things.
Ed, from a brain science standpoint, if you just present the numbers, right, that's the left brain. That's the logical side. And again, people don't make a lot of this. we use logic to justify, but first we have to be emotionally triggered.
Yeah.
If you just show numbers, you're just hitting the left side of the brain. But as soon as you start talking about projecting into the future, forecasting out what's going to happen if you don't do this, what might happen to your equipment, what might happen to your bill. And again, that begins to hit the right brain, which is the fear center, right?
Absolutely.
If I don't take action, oh, snap, what could happen? Like we talked about in the earlier broadcast that, and I think you brought this point up and I thought was excellent, which is, how often do you hear your equipment turning on and off? Because most people won't know that. Won't go, I never really thought about it. And even if they didn't buy it that moment,
What are they doing now?
now every time the thing kicks on and off, they're
That's what
going,
I'd
oh
say.
yeah. He says, because that's where you get your energy spikes. In other words, you're using a lot of electricity. And so all of a sudden they start hearing that.
Yeah.
And then think about the bill, what you're paying over time during the seasons,
That
what are you paying?
furnace isn't going to last 15
Yep.
years like they said. It's
Yep.
going to kick out in 12 and you'll be stuck with the $15,000 bill.
Yeah.
All those kind of things help, I guess, transfer the need
Yeah.
to them, to where when you say, is this something you think we got to get fixed? And they go, yeah. Then you move forward.
Yeah.
I mean,
I mean, for me, if I was going for, I would try to mention it, maybe even try to close the deal there. But at a minimum, I would insert that fear, saying, look, here's what's happening that you're not aware of.
Amen.
And here's what that means. And that's where you move from aware, the need,
Yep.
to urgency. Here's what that means.
Yeah.
Your machine's kicking on and off, which means you're really kind of using the utilization of that machinery, the equipment will go down over time, which means you're going to have to replace the units in the future sooner. And if you plan to be here another 15, 20 years, that's not good.
Yeah.
Look at your bills, seasonal, that whole thing. They go, you're right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that, so you get them convinced there's a need. Now you guys still get that urgency thing
Yeah.
going on, right? And certainly the urgency is built on what could happen.
Right.
But I think there's some things you can do. Not to gimmick it, and don't get gimmicky with it.
Yeah.
Don't become the guy that's selling driveway sealer, going next door saying I got 8 gallons left over from the other job and I can do your house now.
Yeah.
I think when we talk about urgency, we talk about scheduling opportunities. When you get to the month, I mean, every branch manager out there will serve up a month. He'll come into Salesforce and say, hey man, I need some work for Friday. You can get 5% off. That's a legitimate
Yep.
urgency builder that doesn't, you got to be careful not coming
Yeah.
across too hokey
Yeah,
when
with
you're
the
using
pricing.
price and discounts and potential rate card increases. As you move into this year, let's get it done now. Let's get this thing booked now. Let me get the paperwork done, because January 1 we're having price increases. And some of that is legit in all your turfs.
Yeah.
We've done a lot of that. So I think
Yeah.
that's a part and parcel of it.
I was gonna tie it back to the Lynsey story you told. That she's a nurse, right?
Yeah.
And she really cares. I mean, she cares about the people being fired, the techs. She wants to bring them back. But if I were to ask her, and I didn't, but if I were to ask her, I'm sure she says I care about my customers enough to say you need to do this.
Yeah.
Yes, a good nurse would. And sometimes I think we forget that simple fact that we're so scared of presenting price because it might scare them, or we are too afraid to come off as salesy. But if you just sell from the core, I'm just trying to help you because I really see a problem, a genuine problem, you sell differently.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no question about that. And that's kind of just talking about trust real quick, right? So, as you know, I did this for a long time, and I've always been confused about how you build trust in a couple hours sit with somebody, even if you're there 3-4 hours. Can I really build trust to where I come down out of the attic or up out of the crawl space and say, hey, Bubba, I need 15, 20 grand, right? Can I build trust? Yeah, I think I'm a trustworthy guy, and yes, I've done everything perfect. I've done a killer inspection. I've separated myself. I've wowed them. But at the end of the day, I'm asking for 20 grand, right? And I think you can't say this out loud, but I think if you pitch rack this way, the coolest thing about all this is we're so confident in our work and the work that the fellows are going to do. We don't need any money up front. You don't want to say, you don't even need to trust me, but by insinuating that you don't need any money till the work's done, you're putting that blanket of trust right there. It's a unique opportunity that we have at Orkin when you hear about all the other contracting business. Everybody's had a crappy contractor experience where they got left hanging. They don't give us any money till they're happy. So when they look at you and say, hey, you look, I don't need to trust that. We don't have to pay, honey, till all this work is done and we're happy. If you're not using that to anchor trust, I think you're crazy. If you got a job that's $501 and you aren't closing it like they do in the Illinois region, at 8 out of 10 jobs are closed with RAC, you're cheating yourself out of an opportunity not to make your boss happy because you're using RAC, but to give your customer that opportunity to say, I trust that dude, man. I really liked him. And you know what's great about it? The unique thing about doing business with Orkin is we don't need any money.
Yeah. And you said 8 out of 10 in Illinois?
8 out of 10 termite contracts in the Illinois region are racked.
All right.
Racked. They just don't.
They must be from Chicago.
It's all Chicago. There you go, blowing your own horn.
Yeah,
there.
that's right.
Chicago
that's right.
boy.
Way to go.
Chicago boy.
That's great news.
What
though.
else?
That's it.
Anything else? I don't know. I think that kind of buttons up what I wanted to cover. Tickled to death with what's going on. Obviously, just some housekeeping stuff. I sent the numbers out, the other night. So there's this crazy race that just makes my heart hurt that somebody's going to be left out. But we got 50 of the HSIs that can make Chairman's Club with a rookie, and there's a battle for the top 12 Chairman's Club spots. Those races, Victor, are so competitive that it just breaks my heart. But just make sure you're focused on that again, just so you understand what that's all about. That's completed, paid on business that gets done in the month of December and posted. So figure out where you're at, do your jockeying, and punch your ticket to the Bahamas in March. The other thing that I always like to mention this time of year, and it's kind of like an old adage, I thought maybe about not even sharing it, but it makes sense. How you finish December really can establish your momentum going into January. And I never used to believe some of that stuff. Here comes the big boss telling me, oh, fire it up, get it going for December, and how you finish is how you'll start. There's some truth to that. There's some truth to that.
Yeah.
I believe. At least I said it. More importantly, in this holiday season, stay safe. Stay safe. And the last thing, from my house to your house, man, I just hope you have a joyous holiday season. I appreciate everything you all do to make this place successful, and I appreciate the honor of being able to represent you in front of big boys. Anything to say?
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, Merry
That's
Christmas.
it.
Thank
Take
you
care,
all.
guys. Be safe. Enjoy the holidays.
Be good.
Bye-bye.